There's no shortage of crazy flying contraptions here on YouTube.
Sweet baby Jesus, look at that.
Unfortunately, I'm a little bit bigger than a squirrel. And it seems like these things cost millions of dollars. This is my new 1980 something ultralight aircraft. I was afraid it was going to fall right over, but it didn't. Oh gosh, this thing's going to blow up. I'm currently on the Bonneville Salt Flats here on the border of Nevada and Utah, where behind me I'm towing a plane that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace for $4,000. As far as I can tell, that is the cheapest plane you can buy pretty much anywhere. And I told myself I would not make this video until the plane actually got off the ground. So if you're seeing this video, the wheels left the ground, but the story doesn't start here. There it is. This is my new 1980 something Buccaneer SX from Advanced Aeromarine. This is an ultralight aircraft that I'm hoping to be able to assemble and put together enough to at least give it a test flight tomorrow. It's a bit ambitious, I know, but basically this is as simple as it gets, with totally analog and manual controls in the plane. And as far as I can tell, it's been kept in excellent condition. This is not the first time I've seen the plane. I actually bought this in Austin, Texas. There it is. And I've towed it all the way back, put it in my friend Cody here's shipping container, and I'm hoping to embark on this insane mission that I'm going to tell you guys about later. This is like the most exciting thing ever. And I've already tested the motor and other parts like that, so I know that at least I'm not holding on to a lemon. I knew there were a few things I needed to take care of before I could assemble everything. It's a little messy. I had noticed that the wheel assembly and brakes were beyond corroded, so they've been soaking in this evapo rust overnight. Hopefully I'll be able to assemble this. That's at least my goal for today, is to be able to get the plane off the trailer and onto its own landing gear. That would be nice. I see Cody dropped off some of the stuff that I ordered to his house. I didn't know he'd been here. This is awesome. All of these parts were beyond corroded. Now they look great. I don't know if these... Oh, well, I was going to say I don't think these bearings are going to spin again, but it's not great, but I mean, it doesn't have to be. That should work just fine. Yeah, everything spins. Yes. And for the first time in, I think, 5 years, it's raining outside? These were the OEM wheels, and they look fine, so I'm gonna, reuse these. If I end up doing a lot of more remote bush plane type landings, I might upgrade these, but in the meantime, this should be just fine. The previous owner hardly used the wheels because this plane is amphibious. So you might have noticed it looks kind of like a boat. The whole thing floats, and it's got these little floats that go on the wings. That way it can support itself on land and sea. So hopefully I'll be able to do a lot of water missions with this. That's what I was most excited about. The wheels are necessary here and in the salt flats and in the desert. But when I head into those wetlands, I can do some pretty cool lake hopping with this, huh? It's starting to rain again. By the looks of it, it's snowing way up in the mountains over there. Today's May 2nd or 3rd. It's pretty crazy, huh? Is this little shaft that runs through both bearings could not be less straight. if it tried. Aha! I had a feeling after how bent that shaft was that he would have bought a new one. Oh, thank God. Aha! These are definitely the right tools for the job. Alright, I've determined this cannot slide off the end there. It must be slightly flared. So I'm going to knock this back to the middle and try to go just with the flap wheel, because I don't actually have I can't cut this. I'm going to taper the end a little bit and should be able to knock this off. Oh, yes. This wound up being a bit of a process because when I assembled it, the wheel wouldn't spin because there was no bolts here holding this flat. Hopefully I fixed that. I had to re-drill, I had to shave this down. There's a lot of asymmetry in this, but at least now what we're looking at makes sense. Why is it still... Oh, man. Something about this is still not quite right. Yeah, all these extra holes that were present are starting to make more sense. I'm trying to think of the logical way. Well, let's toss on the bent one. Now that I shaved this down, I might be in trouble. A quick update. It is past midnight. Got very, very cold. But I did jerry-rig a way to make this kind of work. So the next step, let me grab another plier. I don't know how permanent this is going to be, but this will at least let me... What's been complicated about this is that this plane has not been flown in 24 years. And that was when it was packed up and disassembled. So all of these small customizations that were made in the years it was flown are lost to the brain of somebody who I have no way of contacting. So it's the next morning. Last night I did get the wheel assembly put on. But the problem I've been wondering how to solve is the fact that this swings around. This is the main axle for the landing gear support. But I think that this little machined piece of metal fits through that and allows the control arm for the landing gear to be raised and lowered. Now this, I have to say, makes no sense to me. Alright, I see now that this controls, well, it's very hard to move, but one side of the spring-loaded arm. This one is missing that little, whatever you would call that, the little eye loop. But if I can find one, then I think I finally understand how this works. Alright, this should be able to compress that spring and finally make the wheel retraction system work. Let's see. It's supposed to not be very windy today. But look, if you pull this forward, it does retract. I can finally raise those wheels. That means I can get this off the trailer. Finally. Alright, this is a little ridiculous, but I'm trying to winch it up at least a little bit to be able to pull that trailer out. For being an ultralight, it's pretty heavy still. Forgot to put the sockets away. Story of my life. Now that is ingenuity. Which is really not very easy to do. As far as I can tell, this is the first time in about 40 years that this plane has been on its own two wheels, or three wheels. This is a 3-blade propeller, 62 inches, I believe. Should be very efficient. Right side. Okay. I think we've got fuel in the engine now. Yeah. Like we can pour out this excess fuel and then we'll probably be good to go. Let's give this engine another shot. After that hour of failed engine starting attempts, I called in some reinforcements. A guy who's got some experience with spark plugs.
I think I've destroyed more spark plugs than most people.
Well, maybe I shouldn't have called in reinforcements. Oh yeah, I think I can see 4 sparks from here.
Yeah, they're all gone.
Yeah, they look fine.
Right. So that should have cleared the cylinders. Do you have any like brown paper bag material? Actually, I've got some in the truck. This brown paper is good because it's a little bit abrasive. Just rub this between the gap.
Yeah, I assume that's got a finer grit than my 220 sandpaper. This is the most useless engine of all time. All right. It's been 2 weeks. I'm back, and I am motivated to get this plane in the air today. It's a little breezy on this side of the mountains, but it should get a little bit calmer by the end of the day, and I can head to the salt flats. And look at that. My brand new shiny door on that side. It doesn't even look the same color, but yes, this is another brand new door. All right, let's get this thing open. All right, well, before I do much else, I want to give this a pull just to see what we're working with. See, one thing I hadn't noticed before is these old hoses here. They've got like holes in them and they're kind of torn up. I don't know what they're for. I'll mess around with a few things before I replace that. Spray some ether in there and then maybe give this thing another go. guy. Thing makes a racket. Another pull and see what happens. This is the same problem I had the first time where I can't find out how to interrupt the circuit. It won't stop. Alright, I had to pull the fuel so it would just run out of gas. At least it runs.
Yeah, it fits right in there.
It's definitely correct.
Why is this one not going in this far? One time I was working at Utah Fabrication and they had me changing a tire on a forklift.
Yeah.
And the boss told me that these need to be torqued to 200 foot-pounds. And he didn't give me anything to measure the torque with.
Did you pull a William Osman?
Well, what I did is I measured the length of my torque wrench and I figured out where I needed to stand to give it 200 foot-pounds.
Yeah.
Right? And then the boss came by later to check my work and he had a torque wrench with him. He's like, I see how you did. And it's exactly 200 foot. Yeah, it works.
So we've determined this does pop out and actuate the way it's supposed to, but it grinds the top of these teeth on this gear because there's just not a big enough gap.
Yeah, or the gap is too big. We need a spacer to bring it out to fill the gap.
Yeah, well, I guess to push this that way, yeah. Well, the engine is slightly tilted back, which does not help. Alright, watch this, guys.
Oh, that'll do it.
That'll do it. Ready?
Hang on.
Time to unhook some stuff and see what happens. Starter works. Other theories are unsuccessful. And they both went into this.
Right, and when I unhooked that,
Well, when they call it a shorting cable, does that mean that if you short these, it'll kill the engine?
oh, I didn't try that. 2 wires without polarity.
And that's for the tachometer, yeah. And that's for the little tachometer on the left, the one that goes to the ground that we saw. Well, what's more important is this, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to the ignition switches and just follow back to the engine.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. Those ignition switches, those are all black, right?
Magnetos here.
You want to take the panel off?
You know what? That might help. That's it.
Oh my god, why was that so complicated? In theory now, for the first time, I'm gonna sit in there. I'm gonna sit in there and I can reach to see what this is like.
Those will turn it off.
Yep, that's good enough for me. How does all the dust end up in here?
It bounces off of the container.
Off of the container, yeah. Woo!
Is there a difference between these 2 green wires?
Cody needs working eyes again. Be right back.
These 2 right here. One of them goes to the tag.
Wait, what did you ask me?
Is there a difference between these 2 green wires?
That is not green.
Is one of
That's
them...
gray.
Okay, which one's gray?
This one's gray.
Can you tell me what color the one is connected to?
Oh gosh, this thing's gonna blow up. But this is the question he asked me.
These two wires are identical.
Those two wires are the same color. Two wires that go into the tack.
Right, so there's a white wire coming out of the tack, and it connects to a either gray or
Gray.
it's gray.
Yep.
And so which of these is gray?
That one's gray.
Okay.
So that is what it said, rev counter gray.
Right, so here.
So that just goes into this cluster.
Right, so it's coming up into here. Is it that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Our hypothesis is that it was working, we just didn't bother to check. Which is a solid possibility. Everything works. We're sitting here. How does the RPM work? It doesn't work. It did work. We didn't check it. Resorted to zip tying this because we can't get. You saw my previous clip. We can't get this to reach, and we're doing it the old-fashioned Boeing way. We won't have time tonight to fly around the salt flats, but we can at least test now that the tail is connected some of those rudder controls by just trying to drive down this little dirt track here, just to at least move a little bit. So that's the plan. We moved Cody's truck out of the way, and now we've got this looks flat from a car, but from a plane with no suspension, probably incredibly rough track. And if not, we've got the actual road right there. It went down to 21 degrees here last night. Halfway through May, it's still very cold. All right, here we are on the salt. It's time to find a good place to test this thing out. And there's Cody. Oh man, could not have asked for a more perfect day.
I haven't had one salt yet.
Yeah, look at that. He gets to experience a salt flat for the first time. Oh, this is so perfect to test this out. Very good setup. It is an ultralight, as it turns out. Alright, like I learned yesterday, I cannot see out of this windshield. So.
Probably have to clean the inside of it too.
Yeah.
At some point I want to build a airship.
Like a lighter than air aircraft?
Right. Like a dirigible.
How are you going to do that? Well, I mean, I know how, but how?
Well, make peace with using hydrogen as a lifting gas.
Yes, you'll have to do that. I don't know where you're gonna buy that much helium.
There's no way I could use helium.
No. It works.
I have a quick question. So,
Maybe we should have gone farther. Like we're gonna have a constant audience. Yeah, yeah. Alright, now, let go. Well, there we go. This is as assembled as it's gonna get. Well, let's pull it back and then turn it. Oh, this is the right way. I just want to drive that way, so I'm not going towards everything. Take 4, I think. This time on a flatter surface. This should not be the first flight. If it is, something's going seriously wrong. I'm just trying to roll that way and see what happens.
I think the wind's coming from over here.
Yeah, okay, we're going that way. All right, now it's official. Rolling test 1. Action.
It looked like you got control over it.
It's not easy. Alright. How about that? It's very informative. I was able to drive around.
Yeah.
It wants to turn left a lot more than right. But I was able to do a much wider radius right turn. Look over here, buddy. Look over here. We're trying to get off the ground this time.
Right. Little hops, right?
The smallest of hops anyone has ever seen. We'll see. I'll probably drive around a little bit again. I think I'm gonna go down there so I can face this way. Kind of everywhere I looked, there were kind of cars. So like if I go down that way towards those cars and then come back.
Okay.
So many random noises. I never know what's what.
Yeah, it's definitely got some squeaks.
This is scary, man. It's a lot scarier than driving a car. Medium to high speeds, or maybe get off the ground. Who knows? So that's up. Oh man, that was tight. Jeez.
Alright.
What was your experience?
Okay, it kind of scared me there. It like decided to take off to the side.
I told you it does that. You got quite a
Just to like steer out of it, but that was
a tighter turn than I've gotten so far.
I was afraid it was gonna fall right over, but it didn't.
Alright, this is the one.
He left the ground, I saw it. Okay, I need to go see what happened. So what happened?
Well, I sheared the wheel axle on this side, so I can't roll it back. You see this?
Uh-huh.
And this side is broken. It broke right on the connection. But that, I kind of looked around. I mean, there's some crack here, but that was the crack that they already filled in. I can fix that. That's the only thing that seems to be broken.
Okay, well, I saw you leave the ground.
Oh, I left the ground. I left the ground. I crashed a plane, and here's Cody collecting his winnings to make a giant salt ball. This can't be good for the plane.
You want to build a salt, man?
Well, that was scary. The plane went a lot higher than I expected it to, but I learned a lot, and those wheels I've been complaining about the whole time now have to be replaced because that broke. I'm just charging up the 360 camera so I can see what that looked like, because I honestly don't really remember. I was too focused on trying. I guess maybe I did the best I could to keep the plane. It still survives. Still there. I'm sure everything else works. I came here to hop. I hopped. Everything seems to be fine other than that wheel axle, so replacing that, adding suspension, better tires, and then maybe I'll build up the courage to do it again. I have none at the moment, but this is all to present the possibility for a cross-country journey, so you can tell that I have a little bit of learning to do. But until then, we have to disassemble this to bring it back across those mountains and put it in Cody's shipping container. Not exactly how I wanted today to end, but I'm happy that I learned everything you can learn about how not to fly a plane. The edge. Now, all right. Give this a shot. To get my foot running into the thing. Okay, it's the best. Logical. All right. All right, it's been eventful. We've got lots of salt still stuck on that plane. Happy to be almost done with the day because I'm exhausted. I'm still got to take this off without the wheel picking it up. It's not easy. Oh. So sunburned, covered in salt. Salt flats were a good place to test at least part of the plane out and just kind of stress test everything. But man, does it take a lot out of you. Future adventures with the plane will go more smoothly. This adventure with this aircraft is not anywhere near over, hopefully. In the meantime, if you're excited to see once I actually learn how to fly this thing properly, all the things I can do with it, please subscribe to the channel and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Look at how sunburned I am. Oh, I'm so crispy, this is terrible.